As much as many women approved the pill, there was surely opposition among women and men. Where did it come from?
Well, it came from a number of places. For one thing, we can see that the black community was, to some extent, suspicious of the whole birth control movement and the pill in particular. And there were good reasons, good historical reasons for that. For so long, black women's sexuality and fertility were not under their own control, or even black men. It was white men whose sexual exploitation of black women during and after slavery was very well known. There was the eugenics movement that was largely focused on people of color.
Which traces back to the 1920s primarily.
Yes, and even a little bit earlier than that, where black women and other women of color and immigrant women and poor women were often sterilized against their will and sometimes without their knowledge. And in this moment in time, really prominent women like Fannie Lou Hamer, for example, a great civil rights leader. She had been sterilized without her knowledge, didn't even know that she was sterilized till after it happened. She was in for another surgical procedure, and the doctors just decided to sterilize her while they were at it. And this happened all the time. So black women were understandably, on one level, concerned about the possibility of this eugenic history, but at the same time, they wanted to be able to control their own fertility.
Right.
Black men were often very suspicious of it. There were groups of Black Panthers, for example, who did not want birth control clinics in black neighborhoods and fought against them. And in some cases, within the black community, there were tensions over this.
We might also want to note that this links to the population growth movement or the anti-population growth. So the Rockefeller Foundation and other groups are into trying to control populations worldwide because the earth can't sustain as many people. And of course, there's a lot of opposition to that on the part of minority groups, so-called third world countries or developing countries and so on. And my own sense, perhaps you would agree with this, is that the radical elements of the African American population, particularly the Black Panthers, just wanted to be in charge of their own population growth, whatever that was going to look like.
Absolutely, and it was connected to a global push for population control that they were suspicious of. And, we have to look at that as part of the Cold War. It was central to Cold War policy, in fact, to include birth control pills and other forms of contraception in foreign aid in order to reduce the populations of poorer countries in the non-aligned world, with the hope that with fewer mouths to feed, people in those countries would be more inclined to side with the capitalists and not the communists, because it was a form of controlling population and attacking poverty. The idea was if there were fewer people, there would be less poverty, and there would be more friendliness towards the United States and away from a draw of communism as a way to address poverty. So you see all of these political concerns are coming together at the same time.
Right. It's completely fascinating because, of course, as the women's movement develops in the late 60s and early 70s, one of the things that rips it apart is the question of how to position oneself on racial issues. So black women and white women are often divided on issues exactly like this one.
Yes, and certainly in a global context, and the question of motivations and the question of who is in control were very central. Nonetheless, underneath it all, most women of all backgrounds wanted to be able to control their own fertility. So we have here, even this useless forecaster gimmick in a way, this rhythm method calculator for women who, for religious and other reasons, could not use birth control pills or other devices, trying in their own way to limit their fertility.